Welcome back to my transporter effect tutorial. In this tutorial, this is number 2 of 7. I'm going to be showing you how to do the first transporter effect. This effect is very akin to the old generation Star Trek effect. Come in. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we need some bubbles. What I did here is I have one of my shadow layers. So that's just my shadow cutout that I made in the first tutorial. And I went ahead and I put a stencil alpha onto it. And what that does is it makes it to where it's transparent on, it basically reverses it. Easiest way to explain it. Then what I did is I just found some good bubbles that I liked. I kind of happen to like those swishy bubbles. They seem kind of neat. And so I just used those. You see they kind of swish around. You could have easily used these bubbles. Again, akin to what I showed you in the other tutorial, you can mix and match. Here's my sparkles. We don't want the chopstick in that. So you find sparkles at an area that you like. Use those. We'll go ahead and rotate that if we want. Or we can even add the other little effect that I showed you, the Control D. Set the transparency to 70. And you just kind of get some interesting effects the more you play with this stuff. For this one though, we're using this bubbles right here. Okay. Now the one effect I did do is on these bubbles here. I actually hit the hue saturation and I brought those up a little bit so that the bubbles kind of come out a little bit. And to do that, I select the layer. I go to Effect, Color Correction, Hue Saturation. And then I just use this dragger and I just dragged them up. And then again, that just makes it a little bit brighter. Now we go into our actual effect. So here's our bubbles coming in. What I did is I set the, as we go, T for opacity. I set the opacity at 0 frames. I have the opacity at 0. As I move it up to 2 seconds, I set the opacity to 100. So now we'll see everything. At 2 seconds to 4 seconds, I bring the opacity back down to 0 at 4 seconds. Do the same thing on the me cutout. So again, this is just my shape being cut out, like we saw. At 0 seconds, I have the opacity set to 0. At 2 seconds, when this opacity is 100, I set this opacity, I put a keyframe there to set this again at 0. At 3 seconds, I bring it up to 100% opacity and I just leave it there for the rest. Next part we need to add is we need to add the shadows. See my shadows in the background. Shadows, I start bringing my shadows in right after I start to come in. So what is that? 3 seconds and 7 frames. And then by 4 seconds, my shadows are opacity is set to 100. Now, very last thing we need, and obviously the thing we're kind of missing in this, is our background layer. So here is our background layer. Remember, this is the first layer that we actually saved a layer image of. We put everything together. So as we start to come in, here at 2 seconds, our bubble layer is 100%. 3 seconds, we start to bring in that, and our bubble layer starts to leave. Then our shadow starts to come in on the background. And our shadow image actually ends up replacing our background image. Now, you will notice, we'll go to columns, we'll switch to modes. On the bubble layer, I set it to lighten as the mode. You can get different effects, kind of different ones. That's add. You could go to screen, will kind of give you this effect here. But I found with these effects, you don't really end up seeing the bubbles at all. So I went back to lighten, and you end up seeing the bubbles a little bit better. So that is the first transporter effect. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the second one. Thank you.